satire is. Basically, whenever we know that satire means to ridicule, to score someone else, or naturally we can know that, or usually we know that from our common sense, to belittle someone is called satire. Here you have seen an image. The image tells us something else. There are 3 tires. One is sitting above the 2 tires. He wants to tell something else. What he wants to tell something. So, from the next, a literary work that includes its subject in order to make a comment or criticism about it. Whenever you have chosen a subject matter or a particular thing or a person or a nation or a group of people, your intention is to give a comment on that or to criticize or make a criticism on it. Criticism, you know that it may happen from both ways, positively and negatively. Okay. So, to find out the good things and find out the drawbacks, it is also the part of the criticism. But regarding satire, you must remember that our intention is not to highlight the positive things. Our intention should be to find out the policies, vices, corruption of a person, of a family, or a group of people, or a nation, or all over the world. Okay. Although satire is usually witty and often very funny, the purpose of the satire is to criticize in order to shame someone or something into reform. What does it mean by reform? Reform is important. Frequently I mention in that way, whenever 2 people are quarreling each other, they are shouting, they are using some ill words, of words. In that time, we should not say that this is a satire, because there is no way how to correct your problem. So to be a satire, you must remember that there should have some instruction how to correct, how to reform. In Gulliver's Travels, whenever we read, we see that he highlights all the policies, all the vices. At the same time, he instructs how to correct, how to overcome the vice problems or corruptions. So there is an indication of reformation. So without having the reformation, you cannot say that it's a satire. At the same time, there are 2 basic elements we have been introduced. One is witty, another is funny. Very funny way. In Gulliver's Travels, each and everything are introduced. Each and everything is introduced in a funny way. In Coverley paper, whenever we read the 6 characters or the activities of Sir Roger de Coverley, what we see that he is represented in a funny way, and witty is there as well. Satire usually has a definite target, which may be a person or a group of people, an idea or attitude, an institution or a social picture. What does it mean by social picture? Social condition, social constitution, or the social governance. Whenever you are satirizing those things, your intention is to reform. Your intention is not to belittle actually. Is it clear now? Next. So you see an interesting image is there. What is that? Best political satire blogs on the planet. He uses something else. He is what? Cleaning and searching the good politician and what? Send them to the earth, and the corrupted one, the police's one, cannot come to the earth. So it's a satire. To whom we are satirizing? Those corrupted people. Either they are in they can be politician, they can be religious person, or they can be the teacher. They can anywhere, from any perspective you can take them. So, techniques of the satire. What are the requirements to have the satire? First one is irony, sarcasm, exaggeration, hyperbole, contrast, language of humor. So we can repeat. First one is irony, second one is sarcasm, third one is exaggeration, fourth one is hyperbole, then contrast and language of humor. We will discuss one after another in details later on. So, types of satire. There are three types of satire we have seen in the images, but mostly we use two types of satire. In literature, in our practical life, we use the third one. First one is what? Horatian satire, amusing satire. And second one is Juvenalian satire, bitter and shocking satire. The first one, this book, Cowardly Paper, Edison and Still Mills, Cowardly Paper, use a Horatian satire. And Jonathan Swift's and Alexander Pope's Rape of the Lock use which satire? Juvenalian satire, harsh, bitter. You see that when we read Gulliver Travels, you see that here the narrator, the writer attacks each and everyone very much. As a result, most critics say that he is a misanthropist. He is a misanthrope. He doesn't like the human being at all. So this is the harsh and bitter satire. But in Cowardly Paper we see that the writers satire very mildly, very softly, so that no one can be hurt. And third one, whenever drawing or painting some cartoons, your intention is to satirize something else. You know that in 1989, a portrayal became very popular all over the world. Frequently we see that his picture or his paintings are drawing and people are laughing. So this is a third type of satire. Basically in literature, we are using how many types? Two types. One is Horatian, it is very much amusing and very mildly, whereas Juvenalian satire is bitter, harshly and very cruelly attacks or satirize the people. Next, Horatian satire, you see that, very much enjoying, relax. So what is Horatian satire? After the, Horace is a Roman critic. After the Roman satirist Horace, it is named Horatian satire. Okay? So satire in which the voice is indulged, tolerant, amused and witty. The speaker holds up to gentle ridicule the absurdities and follies of human beings, aiming at producing in the reader not to anger of a juvenile, but a very smart. So one example we can give, the character of Sir Roger. When we analyze his character, we are laughing. At the same time, we see there are some attack against his activities, his thoughts, his mind. So what? There is no bitter attack. Very softly, very mildly he does it. And this is Juvenalian satire. Juvenal was a Roman poet and satirist during the 1st century. Juvenalian satire is harsh and intended to make us angry at human vice and corruption. When you read Gulliver Travels, you see that there Jonathan Swift attacks human being very much, very cruelly. Or in Rape of the Lock, you have seen. But some other texts, whenever we read, we see that Satire is very mild. So, what is the basic difference between these two? First of all, the Horatian satire, it attacks very softly, very mildly, and using most funny things and witty things, so that no one can be hurt, but they can reform. On the other hand, in Julian satire, we see that it harshly and bitterly. They notices, they even tries to go against the human nature, and human being attacks very much. And it is an example, actually, common example of the satire, as you have read George Orwell's Animal Farm. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. This is the one of the 7 commandments. At the very beginning, we see that what was the commandment? All animals are equal. Later on, he reforms, and the leaders of the animal farm wrote it. What? Animals are equal, but some animals are more than equal. So discrimination is there. It is called the word satire. So any question regarding satire? No. We can repeat. What satire is? What is the intention of satire? Satire means to ridicule someone, to ridicule someone, or to scold someone. What is the intention? In order to find out or show the policies, vices, corruption of a person or a group of people, of a nation, or anyone, anything else. What is its intention? What is its aim? To reform the society, to reform the society or the nation. It's a good intention. How many types of satire we have seen that? There are 3 types of satire, but in literature mostly we use 2 types of satire. First one is Horatian satire, and second one is juvenile satire. Horatian satire is mild, softly used, satire or attack the people, and uses what? 2 things. One is witty, another is funny. Whereas juvenile satire are very much harsher one. What are the techniques? What are the techniques of satire? Can anyone recall your mind? There are 6 techniques we use to write satire. First one, irony. Second one is sarcasm. Third one is exaggeration. Fourth one is hyperbole. Fifth one is contrast, and final one is language of humor. So this is all about satire. As you have no questions, so thank you everyone.